beautiful opening and closing each day. Stay tuned to the end to be part of the closing ritual. So she'll open the weekend with a talk on living in ceremony, embracing the sacred in everyday life. For those of you who don't know Natasja yet, I will read her bio for you so that you know who you're meeting with today. Natasja Pelgrom is a revered thought leader and accomplished executive who has made indelible contributions to the realms of personal transformation and psychedelics. As a sacred medicine woman, visionary leader, and mystical mentor, Natasja embarks on a profound spiritual alchemy journeys, providing a compassionate space for self-leadership, behavioral, and systems change. As the founder of Awaken the Medicine Within Retreats and Education since 2017, Natasja holds a sacred space for individuals on their journey of growth and personal evolution. With her profound intuitive abilities, she has played integral roles in over 800 psychedelic ceremonies, offering training and facilitation. Additionally, Natasja's expertise extends to coaching over 3,000 clients and providing advisory services, as well as curating transformational programs for wellness companies. Her unwavering commitment to helping individuals unlock their true potential and navigate the path of self-leadership makes her a trusted and influential figure in the psychedelic assisted care realm. Natasja's multifaceted mentorship approach is complemented by her extensive background of 20 plus years as a serial entrepreneur. So without further ado, I welcome in my dear friend, Natasja Pelgrom.
Thank you so much, Jess, for this introduction. And it's always a little bit awkward to hear your own bio, but we'll go with it. So I wanted to say a warm welcome for all the people that are joining live today. And of course, a warm welcome for people that are watching back this recording. Amazing, amazing. We have over 3,500 people signed up for this event. Thank you so much, and more are pouring in every minute. So thank you so much for your trust and your willingness to be part of this gathering, really, this virtual gathering. But before we start, I want to acknowledge a few things. One, that is Jess, who's here, who's an amazing support in the work that we've been doing over the year. And thank you so much. And acknowledging Liz, who is our community care. She will be here to support you in our Mighty Networks, our education platform. For those that purchase lifetime access, you'll have not only access to multiple courses on the platform, but also being live with us behind the scenes and engaging in that. So she is your community care manager. And I wanted to also just have a little shout out for people that you're not seeing here, which are absolutely valuable contributions in the way they supported, which is Jocelyn and Kayla from Sacred Planet. They were producing and are producing this event together. Thank you so much for all your dedication and your heartfelt work that I've been able to experience over the last year with you. So wanted to give that shout out. And then also, we have some amazing partners that have been able to contribute to this event, and I want to acknowledge them. Besides the ones that we are also benefit sharing, which we'll dive a little bit deeper into and during the event, which is Ancestral Heart. That is initiated by Tricia Eastman. Her talk will go live today. And the Fountain, which is initiated by grandmother and wisdom keeper and elder Jyoti Ma, who her talk will be going live on Sunday. These we will benefit sharing from this event. So those that are actually purchasing lifetime access to all of this content are also benefiting and sharing the contributions to these two beautiful initiatives. So have a look at the partner page, in a little while. Another thing that I wanted to name are a few of our amazing partners that over the years we've contributed, and some of them are new partners that we've established a relationship with. So I wanted to give a big shout out to Microdosing Institute, who later this afternoon we will go into an interview and Q&A with them. So Microdosing Institute, thank you so much for your friendship and always being such a great supporter. Then also one of our partners is the Fungi Academy. Thank you so much for the Fungi Academy for always being willing to show up and in collaboration and partnership. Then we have Harmony, the Harmony Hypnosis app, which is created by Darren Marks and supported by his beautiful wife, Lona Marks, who've been a great supporter of Awaken Medicine Within retreats. Thank you so much for your willingness to show up in this relationship. And of course, Jocelyn from Sacred Planet is a partner in this event. And one of our new partners is Advaya, which is initiated a co-founder, Ruby Reed, who will also be live one of these days to talk and share her content. And then last but not least, from a beautiful friend, Dream Mullock and Theo Wheel is also one of our partners. And each of our partners have some amazing offerings. So when you go to the page, you can see the offerings specifically for this event. So I wanted to give an extra shout out to them because it's actually really important to create this together and partner up together and have this message come through. So yeah, thank you so much for being here, all of you today. And I want to just immediately drop in because we have now over 100 people live, but over 3,500 people joined. Thank you so much. And I wanted to immediately start off with something that this whole event is about. I'm going to do two things with you. We're going to create an opening and centering and really treat this as the sacred event that it needs to be. Even though we are virtual and we are online, we can still show up with intentionality together and commitment and community. So in a minute, I'll be really opening our space for our 3 days. Each day I'll also do a minor closing, and then we'll do that every single moment for really to drop in together in this unified field and tap into the interconnectedness of all of life. So one of the things that I wanted to share with you is that, you know, a lot of the times we often wait for the sacred moments to appear, and we forget that we have actually the ability to co-create them in life anytime, anywhere, any moment. So this is my invitation to you to be in that creative force with us. After my opening, I'm going to share a little bit about, you know, what is Stewards of the Sacred? What does it mean? You know, how did it get born? What is the intentionality behind it? And then I'll weave that into living in ceremony, embracing the sacred in everyday life, because I wanted to give you an opportunity to really tap in the pillars and the principles of living in ceremony. And even that throughout these days, the 33 speakers are all going to give you in-depth knowledge about the pillars of living in ceremony. So we're going to weave that all in that beautiful tapestry together. But first, let's drop into sacred space together. You know, all the practicalities are now done. And if there's anything technically or anything you would need, again, you can email us at support@awakenthemedicinewithin, so we keep the chat free for this moment. Okay, so let's drop in together. And I want to immediately acknowledge just the people that have walked this path before you and me. And I want to acknowledge your teachers. I want to acknowledge your guides. I want to acknowledge your ancestors and whatever background you have. If you're interested here because of the more academic approach into these themes, or you're interested here because more of the wisdom keeper approach, or you're interested here just out of curiosity because you've just started exploring this realm, no matter why you came here today, you know, it's important to acknowledge those that have walked this path before us. And I also want to acknowledge my own teachers and the medicines that have been in my life and that created the foundation for me to even be here in such abundance with you. So just honoring that. And I wanted to say, because, you know, probably most of you have a ritualistic practice, so I don't have to really explain much about it, but I have my own grown sage. So I wanted to burn a little bit of sage as a little bit of an offering in this moment. And I wanted to acknowledge this beautiful hawk feather that was given to me by my dear sister and friend, Jess Grotfield, who was also on a talk in this platform. And this hawk feather was such an important gift in my life recently. So thank you for that. And I wanted to just blow a little bit of this smoke into your life so we drop in together. So if you're ready, just closing your eyes, and if it is safe to do so, just leaning back. Maybe just bring in that spine and straight. And as my beautiful friend, Alexander Beiner, who is also in this platform and also contributing to the talk, sit with dignity, he always says. Sit as the sovereign that you are. So inviting you to, if it's safe, if you're not on the move or not driving, to really drop in and close your eyes for a moment. And just acknowledging your breath. And taking that deep breath in, and as you breathe in, bringing in that yes to life, that acknowledgement, that yes to life through your nostrils, and then holding the breath for a moment and gently and slowly exhale through the mouth while you release your jaw and any tension or any to-dos or anything that is happening after this, just letting it all drop away. And I want to do this specific opening today with a very more traditional opening. I do many different types of openings, but I'm inviting you to just lean into a more traditional way of opening and acknowledging all the directions. So as you lean back and sit as a sovereign, sit as the steward that you are, with dignity, discernment, and kind awareness behind your eyes. So, acknowledging the winds of the south, the great serpent, please enter this beautiful space, this medicine space, to wrap your golden coils of healing around us. Teach us to let go of what no longer is true. And just as you shed your skin, may we shed our past. Help us to move into the heartbeat and the heartbeat of the body of the earth. Allow us to release and renew as you do. Thank you, thank you, thank you. To the winds of the west, the mother, sister, jaguar, please around, come to us into this sacred space, this space of medicine, so that we feel safe to enter the tender place of truth inside of ourselves. Empower us to navigate the great mystery. Teach us how to move through our own shadow and our own darkness. Help us to trust life by feeling our interconnection with it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. To the winds of the north, the sweet hummingbird, our benevolent ancestors, our beloved ancestors. Please fly and join us in this sacred space, this space of medicine, and allow us to feel your ancient heartbeat. You whom memorizes thousands of flowers, but only goes to the ones that truly nourish you. Teach us about discernment and illuminating the path of where our soul's nectar is. May we not be distracted by false images. Let us celebrate the sweetness in our lives of our ancestors and those who have been here before and will be here after us. Please guide us on our way of healing and humor and synchronicity and magic and grace. Thank you, thank you, thank you. To the winds of the east, great eagle, great condor, please arrive in this space, in this sacred space, in this space of medicine, and allow us to be lifted by your highest highs and to see the wider view. Teach us how to fly wingtip to wingtip with the great spirit, with the great mystery, moving from probability to possibility. Help us to awaken from our dream and remember how to dream bigger. Dreams to live in collaboration and in co-creation with life, nature, spirit, and each other. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sweet, sweet Mother Earth, thank you for this body, this life, these hands, this heart. Thank you for holding us always in every moment so we are never without you. Thank you for being so profoundly generous that every offering we could ever make to you is something you have already gifted to us. Help us to learn how to become like you. Infuse us with the love that you are. Thank you, Thank you. Thank you. Father Sun, Grandmother Moon, our star brothers and sisters, please shower your light down on us. Father Sun, just like there are some days where we don't see you, but we don't doubt your existence, may we have that same faith in your light. Grandmother Moon, just like we honor your cycles, may we trust our own. Star brothers and star sisters, help us to remember the true meaning of community and reflecting one another's light to each person we meet. Please illuminate the spaces in our beings that are ready to awaken. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now to the heart teacher, please awaken. Be the source of each thought, word, and action. Please also be the way in which life is received. May the love that has led us here to this moment lead us through stewards of the sacred. And so it is, and so it shall be. Welcome to the opening of our gathering here. So let's take this deep breath in one more time as we drop in together. So, stewards of the sacred, I want to share with you that this is really a labor of love and really accumulation of months poured into this creation. And although the concept of the sacred refers to something that is considered holy, revered, and worthy of respect, really, the idea of the sacred varies across many different cultures and belief systems. But I wanted to highlight what it means to us right now so we can all focus and align in. And you'll hear throughout these days different meanings and different interpretations and different invitations to explore what that might mean to you. But we can probably all agree that it's a sense of connection to something that's larger than oneself. A recognition of an inherent value of worth for an object or concept. And there is definitely a feeling of reverence and awe connected to the meaning of the sacred. So it's important to really align in that matter together as we open this space and open this conference here and this gathering. So stewards of the sacred is a term that encapsulates a profound concept of responsibility, care, reverence for all aspects of life and encompassing both the natural world and the spiritual realms. It signifies individuals and communities dedicated to safeguarding and nurturing sacredness found in diverse aspects of existence. As stewards of the sacred, which I'm inviting you to be one too, it isn't just about these 33 speakers that are here. It's also about remembering your capacity to be a steward of the sacred. So one embraces really the duty of preservation of the interconnectedness of all of life. And this includes recognizing the sanctity in nature, cultural heritage, and ritualistic practices. It emphasizes on the commitment of sustainability, ethical practices, and mindful living. And I think we all can agree that this is something that we all need right now. So the term embodies the idea that we are also custodians, entrusted with well-being not only for our planet, but also in the preservation of ancient wisdom and traditions. Stewards of the sacred are here dedicating to a harmonious relationship between humanity and the earth, and also seeking to create a more just world. So in essence, stewards of the sacred is a call to action, inspiring individuals to embrace their role as caretakers to sacred aspects of life, leading with integrity, compassion, and a deep sense of responsibility. This is why the title is Self-Leadership, Purpose, and Ritual in a Time of Psychedelic Expansion. And we are going beyond the psychedelic realm. You know, there is many speakers here that are giving their beautiful wisdom that are going also beyond the psychedelic realm. I think it's a community that we need to come into. So I hope that you envision together with me that we embrace this sacredness and that we really come in to inspire each other and a newfound way of purpose. And I'm witnessing this dream into creation, and I hope we can call each other and step by step to really become the stewards of this new dawn. So this is a call to action for you as much as we are creating this space and the contribution of these amazing people that have been willing to dedicate their time and their effort into it. So I wanted to give you that context because that will also weave in literally the importance of living in ceremony and embracing the sacred in everyday life, because that's really, for me, what it's about. You know, how can we weave that in? It's not about, you know, I'll do a sacred thing from 5 to 9, but at 9, I'm actually going to go and do something completely different. You know, it's about becoming aware of what that is. So I want to dive a little bit deeper and give you a bit of context about the principles that are there. And I don't believe that I'm going to share anything that is extremely new here. I really believe that a lot of what I'm about to share with you, you know, but sometimes we need a certain kind of permission or remembrance. And we need that from heart to heart. And that energetics, you know, is what I hope that you take away with today, that you feel inspired. Oh, yes, this is how simple it is. I believe that at the core of anything, it's in the simplicity. It's in deep listening to what is coming forth and you creating a relationship to what that means to you. It's not about any teacher or anything outside of yourself to tell you this is sacred or this is the way you conduct your practices or your work. Okay? But one thing we can understand is that in our fast-paced modern world, the desire for meaning and connection, a deep sense of purpose, has led many to explore traditions and practices, psychedelic uses, plant medicine, entheogenic experiences, plant teachers, embodiment practices. So these really age-old teachings are passed down through generations and offer profound insights into living in ceremony and a way of life that emphasizes the sacred, the interconnectedness, and a cultivation of mindfulness, compassion, and reverence. And maybe reverence for something that I would call the divine, or call in the reverence for something that is bigger than just you, you know? It doesn't have to be the word divinity in that sense. So living in ceremony in this age means embracing a conscious and intentional way of life where we honor the fundamental principles of life in our daily actions and interactions. And it evolves in recognizing the sacredness in all aspects of existence and infusing it with meaning and purpose. And I just see that our friends from Microdosing Institute had just joined. So if you've seen that, that's great, but you're a little bit early. Just want to name that. We'll be right with you. I'm just sharing this about living in ceremony. So they're probably testing out the link at the moment. But yeah, if you haven't seen them, great. But I think you must have seen them popping already. But let's go into the principles of living in ceremony in a holistic way. Okay, so wisdom traditions from various cultures provide profound insights in living in ceremony, and they offer ancient teachings and practices that emphasize on it. And by drawing from these wisdom traditions and actually seeking elders and seeking those that have walked this path before you, you can really start to understand not only the cosmology, but also the technology of that understanding. This is also one of the reasons why we support the Fountain and Ancestral Heart, because they're really about preserving those ancient ways. It's about the pagamentos or payments, about sacred territories, about sacred economics. And these things are important to start remembering what these mean, or maybe even in some ways, in our words, reclaim them. Another principle is more, let's say, from a generalized, more shamanic view, living in ceremony, is recognizing that spirit, right, if we use one specific word, infuses all things. And the role of a curandero or vegetalista or shaman is really to bring and bridge between the physical and the spiritual realms, These shamanic practices, such as journeying, connecting with spirit guides, performing rituals, can deepen our understanding in the sacred in everyday life. And these perspectives emphasize the healing and transformative power of ceremony and ritual. So this is another principle. Another principle would be nature and elemental connection. Both in wisdom traditions and shamanic practices emphasize on deep connection to nature and the elements. They teach us to honor the work with the natural world and acknowledging the sacredness of air, earth, water, fire, and the spiritual aspect or the ether aspect or the unknown aspect. Then again, we're using certain words, but for you it might be different words. It might be different symbolism or methods or archetypes. Yeah. By aligning ourselves with these elements, we harmonize the fundamental principles of life and our own biology. We create that relationship. And in creating that relationship, it is really important to acknowledge the principle of ritual and ceremony. These are practices that offer wealth, but also a wealth of wisdom in a way to connect to something that is bigger than ourselves. These can include, of course, ceremonies of healing, of initiation, of gratitude, of celebration. So incorporating rituals into our lives allows us to access the wisdom and power when we're faced with challenges, change beliefs, and have the ability to apply creativity as a way to learn about ourselves and the world that we are in. It also creates an opportunity to have a shared humanity experience. Ritual and ceremony always do that. So when it comes to another principle is sacred plants and sacred medicines or psychedelics. As we know, these are practices involving that expand consciousness and connect us to something that is bigger. These practices can deepen our understanding to the sacred and a place where we connect to the web of life. Yeah. So weaving these principles and living in ceremony becomes a holistic journey that encompasses not only mindfulness, so being fully present in this moment, but also a conscious choice to also have a profound connection to maybe the spiritual dimensions of existence and reverence for the wisdom of those that walked the path before us, maybe even your ancestors or maybe your teachers. Now, in a practical sense, so these are the principles of giving that overview. And then, as I said, every of these principles are going to be addressed by our speakers. This is why I found it really important to start off this gathering together and living in ceremony to really initiate that you pay close attention to what the speakers are saying and what wisdom they're actually giving to you. Some of them are going really in depth about how to cultivate trust in that. There are some beautiful red threads. So I'm inviting you to really listen to the red threads that are woven in by each speaker. I was in awe about how many things there were actually being spoken and how much truth that was coming forth by such a diverse group of people showing up here. Now, in a practical sense, the principles that I hope to inspire you to cultivate deeper, and even in its simplicity, we forget. We always forget what that is. And the one that I want to share at first with you, which I believe there are 9 principles, is really being present. Presence. And in some way, maybe some would name that mindfulness. Yeah. So living in ceremony requires being fully present in each moment, whether it is a simple task, a conversation, or a special occasion. By practicing that fully embodied presence, we acknowledge the sacredness of the present moment and the interconnectedness within it. It's from that deep state of listening and that kind of curiosity that we're able to then explore within that presence. There is an openness that is created in that. And that's a very important ingredient to cultivate in our lives, to create a bridge with each other, a commonality with each other. Yeah. Another principle of action that we could do is really gratitude. It is something that I have been working with for so many years over the last decade. Even for those that are in the lifetime access in our Awaken to Medicine within Mighty Networks platform, you have access to 21 days of gratitude. This is something that I've worked with for over a decade as an integration tool for psychedelic integration, just as a little side note. But cultivating an attitude of gratitude, which is a very famous hashtag used many, many times, probably maybe overused, but it is the fundamental principle of living in ceremony. It involves acknowledging the blessings and abundance in your life, no matter how small, and expressing the appreciation them regularly, especially when you make an offering part of your constitution. When you make offering and gratitude part of who you are consistently, it is the antidote to eliminate extraction programming in our mind. Let me just share this one more time because so it really sinks in. The way to really create and eliminate extraction programming in our mind, in our being, is by consistently cultivating offering as a part of who you are. So gratitude is extremely important principle to cultivate, to change our behavioral change with each other. And especially in the out world when things are challenging. Another part is a principle, is probably something that I hope all of you are doing, is building a relationship with nature. You know, honoring the natural world is an essential aspect. You know, we can do this by connecting to nature in so many different ways. And, you know, for some of you, it might be gardening. For some of you, it might be something very different. It doesn't matter what that really looks like. But I want to invite you to go a little bit deeper with it in a way of understanding the rhythm of nature and its cycles, and to be part of a cyclical life. Living in ceremony is by understanding the cycles of where we're going to, and that it's actually a really natural way of being in our own bodies and with ourselves, is by being in that experience of cycles with each other. Yeah. Another principle, number 4, is sacred rituals. My favorite thing to do. I do rituals all the time. And one of the talks, which was, for example, with Alexander Beiner, who will also go live in this day, is we spoke about rituals and what they mean. And he had such a beautiful insight about, you know, even brushing our teeth is a ritual. Indeed, that's a ritual too. But I'm inviting you to look at creating more personal and communal rituals that mark important life events and also daily routines, because that's the way we can really come into a relationship of discernment and self-reflection. And discernment and self-reflection in a path of self-leadership and accountability, because these are the principles and the pillars of stewardship. Living in ceremony is the title, but these qualities to cultivate is stewardship qualities. So these rituals can be anything you want it to be, you know, lighting from a simple candle. I already spoke about offering. For some of you, it's prayer. You know, for some of you, it's not the word prayer. For some of you, is bringing an intention or an affirmation or a mantra or a song or a movement. So it's really important to acknowledge that and to infuse it, whatever you do, with meaning and intention. And honor the gifts, as I've honored the gift of the hawk feather. Name them out loud. You know, acknowledge that in your rituals. And there is no perfect way of doing it, as long as there is commitment, devotion, and intentionality in them. Yeah. Another part is connection and unity. And this is really about recognizing that the interconnectedness. And one of the things that is really a fundamental principle and being connection to the whole. And in that connection, in that unity, we have to realize that sometimes we need to do deeper work with ourselves where we are in disconnect. One of the speakers that goes into that is Dr. Regina Hess, who is one of my teachers, who I'm very grateful for our path together over the years. She really speaks into that leadership aspect in this in this gathering. And she also speaks into the more psychological aspects of the work to be a steward. What is the things that we really need to work on within ourselves? What is our programming? What is our conditioning? What is our attachment style? These things are also part of it. You know, it's also part of the work. So connection and unity is about also acknowledging those parts within ourselves. Yeah. And then from that place, going into the principle of conscious choices. So making conscious choices aligned with our values and principles in a way of honoring the sacred in our decision making. This includes ethical choices in our relationship, work, consumption, and lifestyle. And this can sound, you know, very simple, like, yes, of course I do that. But what are the moments when someone is not watching? You know, when there is no pat on the back, what is your choice then? When there's nobody there that, you know, will acknowledge that choice. I think those are the moments to cultivate. And there are some speakers that are going into that in this conference. Elizabeth Bast goes into that leadership aspect. Isis Indriya goes into that aspect in this conference. So it's really important to really learn and listen, like, okay, where do we do that when we're not being seen? You know, how do we show up then in that ethical, in our relationship to ourselves and the commitments we make? Number 7 on it, to cultivate as stewards and living in ceremony, is service and compassion. This is the thing that has come throughout every single talk, almost really every single talk, is the meaning of leadership is being in contribution and being in service. And the word service is not about putting yourself or pleasing, right? That's not what that means. A lot of us have really a lot of conditioning and belief systems about certain words. Service and compassion, one of my really dear teachers when I was 18 years old, and I was for the first time going into Zen Buddhism, and I was sitting in meditation. And one of the most compassionate things that I've learned from that teacher was boundaries. And I realized that boundaries and setting boundaries is a compassionate act. And that was such an eye-opener for me, for my system to experience that, right? So service and compassion is not about pleasing. It's not about being empathic. It's about staying strong within yourself as well. But living in ceremony in this relationship is engaging with the acts of service and compassion for self and others. Is acknowledging that sacredness in each individual and the importance of supporting and helping one another. But also being clear what you can hold and what you cannot, right? For those that are following me on social media, I posted yesterday that I had something in my neck and it shot me in my neck. You know, and today I'm feeling really good. Why? Because I asked for support. For how many people? 4 different people. And I'm so grateful for each one of them to have showed up for me to be able to be here today comfortably in my own body. But this in my neck had to do with support and a sense of responsibility. And it's not that we're always cultivating these relationships with ourselves and always trying to move into it. But if you understand these principles, and how they show up in your day-to-day life, how they show up in your body, how they show up in your practices, how they show up in your relationships, this is the importance that I'm inviting you to explore. And in that, we go into number 8th principle, which is self-reflection. And self-reflection is something that I've heard many speakers in this conference speak about as well as part of being a leader. Self-awareness and self-reflection and being able, there is something different between overconsumption of self, or I sometimes even say as a little joke, you know, process junkies, going from one retreat or one experience to another, but not integrating and embodying the actual teachings. And each of these principles you could cultivate for the rest of your life, just one, and have depth and more depth and more depth in it, right? But self-reflection and self-awareness is really the act of introspection that helps us to align with our true self. And it also helps us to align with our purpose. which one of my dear friends also on this conference, Beth Weinstein, is also talking about purpose and leadership. And in that leadership and purpose, we also have Jeannette de Geus, who's talking about regenerative stewardship from an entrepreneurial aspect and the challenges as an entrepreneur to be in that self-reflection and introspection while creating an organization that is based on the principles of stewardship in a world that is not in the systems that it's welcoming yet, or the people things that play out there, right? So another one that is speaking into the more purpose and also aligning into the organization and how do we do that is Nikki Trott, who is also an amazing speaker on this conference and speaking about how to infuse the actual business aspect of working and walking in sacredness with life, because they're all part of it. So in this conference, we've tried to really bring in a big diverse set of speakers that could weave in where we all are in our day-to-day. Yeah. Number 9 of these principles is applying ancient teachings in modern life. You know, there are so many ancient teachings that know things so much better than we think we do. We are so young still, you know, and I'm from the Netherlands. I was born here. My father is Portuguese. And I have the privilege, I feel so privileged to have been born in a country in the Netherlands where we can work with sacred medicines called truffles containing psilocybin, which is legal. That's a huge principle. But I don't have a cosmology, or we don't have a cosmology in this country of ancient elders working with these medicines because they're really young. And luckily, in our next live talk, we will have Jacobine and Henk coming from the Microdosing Institute. You know, we'll also lean a little bit into the truffles and where we are today in the Netherlands with this. But I wanted to just acknowledge that sometimes it's hard to find ancient teachings in your environment. Sometimes your ancestral line, you, for whatever reason, don't want to connect to it, you know? But there are peers. I feel very privileged that I have peers and that I've been able to walk this path with people that have studied for such a long time in specific traditions that were willing to share their medicine and their gifts with me. And that is a true privilege. But you can find these ancestors and you can find the peers that are around and really bringing in that ancient teachings. And I believe that right now we are the elders of these medicines in the Netherlands. Right? So if I'm the elder and if you're the elder and we are the stewards of it, what are we deciding for our legacy to move forward? How are we creating? Are we going to dream this dream of living in ceremony? And how are we going to build as architects of this new dawn, as stewards as you are here? Right? So one of the things that I want to really acknowledge is that we have to really understand that the wisdom traditions they have a timeless relevance. And it's really important to understand that there is so much technology that is available in them as long as we come in with humility and understanding that we don't know things. Yeah. The teachings that guided those for thousands of years are still holding strong today. You know, by studying and embracing these traditions, we can apply their timeless principles really in our modern life. And there's a difference between application and appropriation. And I hope everybody understands that, right? There is a permission to share and there is a blessing you receive when there is a permission to share. There is a permission to share in your own practice. And then there is a permission to share to a wider audience, you know, and if you will deeply listen, you'll understand when is what, right? But we all have permission to connect to the basic principles of life. We all have permission to make an offering. We all have permissioning to bring in an intention or a commitment or a prayer into existence. You all have permission to connect to all the elements. We have permission for that. This is why we are here. So whether you incorporate, for example, meditation practices in your daily routine, or practices in rituals that honor the cycles, or cultivating a sense of sacredness in our relationship, wisdom traditions provide really this roadmap of living in ceremony in this century. And it's quite important to start bringing that in. So in summary, living in ceremony in this age involves infusing everyday life with presence, or for some, mindfulness, gratitude, offering, a reverence for nature, rituals, ceremony, unity, conscious choices, service, self-reflection. It's a conscious and intentional way of living that honors the fundamental principles of life and helps us to connect with the sacredness of existence. So each of these principles will be addressed in depth by our speakers. And I wanted to give you that living in ceremony as an overview that you will be throughout these 3 days live and recorded, and you can revisit it, when you've purchased lifetime access, to really go back and listen. I really urge you to go back and listen, because I have made so many notes myself, because there was so much inspiration and so much wisdom that was being shared throughout these 33 amazing speakers that are generously enough sharing all their content. So one of the things I also wanted to share with you is to go a little bit deeper, and because we don't have the time to now sit together for 3 hours here, because this conference is, a creation born out of a beautiful prayer, and a beautiful prayer that was in January this year. I was in Costa Rica visiting amazing friends, my dear friend Laura Dawn, who's also a speaker on Sunday live, and my dear friends Elizabeth Bast and Chor Boogie at their center will also have been a speaker in this conference, and some other friends that I've been visiting because I was missing peers. And what I did, I was actually for 3 weeks praying to and with water and making offerings to water. And in those 3 weeks, what happened is that I really saw this gathering coming forth, and even the stewards of the sacred being born in that sense. And last night I was doing a session with my dear friend, Sarah, who is an amazing energy healer. And we were preparing for today and create the sacred space that you're in right now. And one of the things that I realized is that it's 9 months. It's the cycle of 9 months, and it's birth, and here we are. But right now, even though that vision came in and there was a lot of labor, it is now basically out of my own hands. It is now in your hands. Because I think it's important to acknowledge that even though I'm speaking here and I'm leading this first conversation, is to set the tone, to welcome you in. And from here on, I'm merely the guide and witness of the whole process and helping to translate and bridge. But if I would have more time, which we have created on the 2nd of November, on the 2nd of November, I'm going to do a deep dive into a beautiful teaching that I've created, which is we're going to journey into the interconnectedness of all of life. And it's basically a shamanic exploration of the tree of life. And on my speaker page, you'll be able to see it. So that will be given here in the chat. But you'll also get notified from it. So just mark your calendars for the 2nd of November, and we're going to go into a real experiential and a real practice for 90 minutes. That's my offering to you out of this event, because I want you to actually receive all of the wisdom from many more people here, not just myself. So, but yeah, it's really important to me to really connect to these diverse belief systems and revealing the universal thread that binds all these principles together. So that we'll be doing on the 2nd of November. And then we're also going to basically go into a shamanic journey where we're going to have the fundamentals of that journey and really go into the tree of life and what that means to you, okay? And with some practicality. So that I'm super excited to be hosting that on the 2nd of November. So here we've come. It's almost on the hour, and we have about 10 to 15 minutes left. Jess is here with us as well. And I don't know, we had a little bit of a technical challenge in terms of the chat function, so I don't know if that's fixed, but we are here for like about 5 to 10 minutes for any questions that there may be. or anything you might need to know. So related to this topic, anything that is not related to the topic, please email us so we stay really on point. If you do have a question or you want to say something, then okay, the chat is not working. I just got a message. So that's fine. We have people raising hands. So we're just going to flow with what is presented to us today. So what we will do is I see two people raising hands, which is Laura. And I am going to allow you to ask your question. So I'm curious what it is, and I might have the answer, I might not. And if I don't have the answer, then we'll just have to refer back to it later. Okay, so I'm allowing you to talk, Laura. Here you are. Please unmute and let us and show us your beautiful presence.
We're not hearing you, Laura. It seems that you're on mute. Is it possible for you to unmute yourself?
Okay, so while Laura is maybe not here, then we go to the next one. We'll come back to you, Laura, in case. So W. Tucker Clark. I don't know if that's your full name, but I just want to acknowledge. So allowing you to talk. Yes. We would love to see you as well. So yeah, we're not hearing anything. I'm not sure if others are hearing.
Well,
Yes.
I can talk, but for some reason, my
Yes,
picture is not coming through. But
no
you
problem.
are so beautiful and wonderful, and I think that the graces sent me to this secret of the sacred gathering, and that's a picture of me when I was in Nepal trekking to Everest. That's me at base camp. So that was at age 23, and now I'm 78 in a nursing home. And am so looking forward to this your summation of all the wisdom that I've accumulated over the ages, from Tibetan Buddhists to Course in Miracles to the S training and being a psychologist myself. That you did such a beautiful job. I stepped through Amsterdam on my way home from in France. I spent a year there, and so you two are such wonderful representatives of the spirit of the Netherlands. And I wish that you could go and handle our border crisis and handle Hamas and do whatever else. Maybe from this conference, we'll be able to handle some of the problems or obstacles to the world. And I'm going on and on because you two are so wonderfully beautiful, and I'm so grateful to being able to get into this Stewards of the Sacred. It was very difficult because here the Eastern Standard Time, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. And
so is Tucker your first name?
I'm sort of elitist. All 6 of my family siblings go by their middle names. So okay. I go by Tucker, and so that's why it's W. Tucker Clark. But William, because there's so many William Clarks in the system that anyhow, I won't bore you with that stuff. But
so Tucker, do you have a question? Because we would love to give others opportunity to ask as well.
Your November 2nd thing, is the Tree of Life is part of the Kabbalah training, and it seems as though you had done so many different things, and I'm just wondering whether you're going to branch out from the Tree of Life and connect it as you do so well to all the other spiritual pursuits and journeys that one can do. Because I witnessed one tree of life explanation, and my wife was Jewish and my daughter was bat mitzvahed. But
yeah, so I will answer very briefly. I will give a little bit of an overview about different traditions, but what I will be doing is actually going into the universal principle of working with our elders, the trees. And so I'm not going to bind it specifically to one tradition or one way. I want to bridge it and make it so that it brings in the universality of the principle of it. But I will give a little bit of context in the beginning and honor some of the traditions that I know and some of the knowledge that is there. And we could go on for days in that kind of knowledge. But what I really want on the 2nd of November is to actually give you an experiential journey. So, and not just me talking and giving content, but actually just you really experiencing. So that was a really good question, Tucker. Thank you so much.
Well, I just wanted to add that I'm looking so forward to it because I rever the tradition of the Tree of Life, and I think that you're probably going to do a really spectacular job of connecting what that seed of the Tree of Life, from an acorn to a oak tree. And so I've never heard of you before.
Here I am. I've been hidden away between the trees and the branches, my friend.
Well,
Tucker, I'm going to have another person, and I'm going to ask Laura back if she is willing to
okay,
unmute.
so
Stay
I'm
on with
looking
us
so forward to
throughout the
November
day.
2nd, and you are a beautiful presenter of all the wisdom that's been. I've been a subject, or I've been acquainted with, and so thank you both for doing this thing, and I'm looking so forward to, and I'm spreading the word about
Yes,
stewards
please
of the
do.
sacred.
Please do. Please do. Thank you
Okay.
so much. Have a beautiful day and see you later in the other talks.
Okay.
Bye. So we'll go to the next one. I'm going to go back to Laura and see if she's back on the interwebs and she can unmute and give her an opportunity. There are two Lauras, by the way. Laura Lucero. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. She cannot unmute. Okay, we're going to go to the next Laura. Lazarotto. I'm going to Laura Lazarotto, please unmute. Very good. Well.
Oh, hello.
Hi, Laura. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you. Oh, I don't have a question. I am tuning in to listen and to learn.
Oh, thank you. Well, you raised your hand, so those that wanted to ask a question raised their hand. So this is why we put you on. This is fun.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I was just trying to figure out how to unmute. Okay. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Laura. Stay with us for the other talks coming up. And if you have any questions in the meantime, just raise your hand. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Very good. I'm going to go back to the initial Laura because I really think that she might want to ask something. She's back with her hand up. If anybody else has anything, just show up. No problem at all. We also have 2 other talks coming up. So maybe in the meantime, Jess, maybe you would like to share who's coming up next and the time slots so everybody can drop back into these links. And who is up next?
That's a very good question. So if you go to the event schedule page, you'll be able to see all of the speakers coming up next. And we're delighted to have Hein Pijneken and Jacobine van der Weyden, another friend of mine, who will be talking about microdosing. as a practice to uncover your authentic self and connect the sacredness of life. They run the Microdosing Institute from Amsterdam. In case you're interested, you can look into them a little bit more. So that will be at live at 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. New York, 2 p.m. UK, and 3 p.m. CET, so Amsterdam time. And then we'll have a Q&A with them too. The chat will be working in the next talk. So thank you so much for your patience as we navigate this webinar feature on Zoom. After Jacobine and Hein, we'll be talking with Elizabeth Wood, and that will be live at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. New York, 4 p.m. UK, and 5 p.m. CET, followed by Belinda Gore, who will be talking about the gift of ancient ritual postures for contemporary consciousness expansion. And that will be at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. New York, 6 p.m. UK, and 7 p.m. CET. So there are lots of amazing speakers coming up and some very important and interesting topics. Are there any other people that wanted to share a question for Natasja?
I think Tom is here, so I'm not sure if Tom is just pressing a raise button, but we're going to allow you to talk and ask a question. Hi, Tom.
Hello.
Hi, Tom. Welcome. Happy you're here.
Yes, thank you so much for all your wisdom. I'm from the Netherlands myself also.
Oh, great. Do you speak Dutch as well?
Yes, I do.
Oh, hallo, goedemiddag.
I hope I get my formulation right, but it just came up in one of the 9 of these principles. What challenge did you come across? Which one was the hardest for you to overcome in one of these? And what was the simplest change you made in your life, energy-wise, which has great impact or repercussions in your life?
Yeah.
I hope you understand.
Yeah, what a brilliant question, I have to say. That's a really good question. Thank you for that. So the challenge, first of all, there is generally speaking, I think there is a challenge for being consistent in building relationship with a practice, and that consistency when life throws us curveballs or challenges or there is grief, we sometimes tend to fall back into old patterning as survival mechanisms, So one of the things that was for me probably the most recent challenge, because I want to honor my recent experience and just maybe be a bit candid and open-hearted with you guys here, is really about, the aspect of self-reflection, which I named. And that has to do with when we are faced with deep grief, and this deep grief can be a loss of someone, it could be a loss of a relationship, could be a death, but it also could be grief for something collective. For me, was the most challenging thing is to navigate your life's responsibilities, which is one. And the responsibilities in this case would be the work that I'm dedicated to do with Awaken the Medicine Within and providing this. That would be one, the responsibility, feeling that there. Then the responsibility around your family, your who you are, how you show up, your community, your friends. And then having at the same time, grief is not something tangible. It's like, oh, now I'll grieve a little bit. Now I'll let grief a little bit go, So grief being in the space of self-reflection, being the one that I was really needed to stop everything that I was doing. And this last summer, I decided not to run certain retreats. and had to move house and really land on my 2 feet again in that way.
Mhm.
And that's when I actually amped up my practice. So although I wanted to curl up with Netflix under the cupboards, because that's a tendency that I have to,
Mhm.
that's what we do. I wanted to just put the world away and under cupboards and I'm going to hide. I was preparing to do my own personal ceremony with medicines.
Mhm.
And one of my rule of thumbs is I'm not going to go into this relationship with these teachers from give me this or make me a better meditator or do anything. I want to go up with so much respect that I'm already willing to change certain things about my life and then do a higher dose ceremony for my own internal work. So one of the ways that I've done is by working with this grief is already started implementing over a month 2 hours a day, really changing my relationship to my body, my food, my processing tools, and really stepping deeper into a practice of devotee, and also opening up to people to ask for reflection and help and being open about it, even with certain retreat clients, and just being open, this is where I am, this is what's happening, this is my truth. So self-reflection is one of the answers that I can say that is sometimes really, really hard when we just don't want to deal with pain.
Mhm.
And, so the beautiful thing is that when I did then do the ceremony, there were many gifts given, but one of the things that I am so grateful to receive is the gift of deeply listening in stillness, which has been cultivated throughout this grief, is stillness.
Yes.
So I hope this answers your question, but I wanted to be really truthful of what was alive recently and not think about something really far away.
So for what I understand is also the healing, taking time for healing the grief to become more into spaciousness and awareness and deep listening.
Correct.
All
Tom, you
right.
summed it up. Thank you so much for being here. Are you going to come and listen to our next talks?
Yes, I will.
Great.
And the other one, the other short question, what has been like the simplest behavioral change you've made in your routine, or something that has been really beneficial, or on all layers, or for something specific?
Oh, I love your questions. You should be an interviewer. Maybe you are, Tom. I don't know. But the simplest, I have to say, prayer and offering. It's something that I do every day, almost even sometimes it's so embedded in my system that one of my teachers taught me that if I can't place an offering because I don't have anything in my pockets, take a hair out. So sometimes I would go and I'm in the city, I pull a hair out of my head and I make that an offering to a tree, because I acknowledge something or an insight has come in. So I think offering and prayer are the things that I do consistently, and that is so natural. And like I said in my talk, it's something that really creates a different type of relationship with extraction mindset. Let's say the self-indulging aspect of self-work, because when you're in a relationship with offering and prayer, you're always in a relationship of reciprocity with your environment. So that's that's the easiest thing you can do.
Thank you.
Thank you so
are
much.
you going to elaborate a little bit more on the extraction mindset?
There are, yes. So throughout the conference, there are a few speakers in here, and I would recommend watching the recorded version of Isis Indriya. We go into that conversation. Also, there is a really beautiful conversation with Macaulay Carroll, also pre-recorded on the last day. We're not necessarily going into that mindset, but there is a channeling happening about trust and about grief and death that I absolutely say everybody look into it, because that's the only session where we're both not going into interview style, but we're just free flowing, and she's amazing at that. So I would recommend, and there are a few more that will really touch upon it in its subtlety and in its beauty. Elizabeth Bast as well has a beautiful way. She speaks about iboga and how to decolonize our mind and detoxify our way of being. Tricia Eastman speaks a lot about reciprocity and being in right relationship. So every speaker really touches upon it. They might just use different type of words. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for everything.
Thank you, Tom. Have a beautiful day. Looking forward to seeing more questions from you.
Same. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
So we've come to our closing of the opening here today. And for any other questions, so I just wanted to name something, is that for those that still want to join our platform, you can purchase throughout the whole weekend lifetime access. You'll have access to not only the platform where we will have prompts and engaging, you'll be able to connect with Liz and myself in there for more questions and answer where we're building this event together. And here you go. I'm going to share it with you in the link. Oh, it's already shared, my talk. And then here is the lifetime access for everybody if you want to have it. And there will be more questions being able to ask in our Mighty Networks Awaken Medicine Within structure. So the schedule is also shared right now in the chat. And we will see you on the hour. So we're going to go on a break, stop recording, and see you in an hour with the Microdosing Institute. Thank you so much for all of you being here, so loyal already. And for those watching back, thank you for this wonderful opening together.